What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark, backmovieguy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and we're going to talk about Fallout Season 2, Episode 2. This is, we've brought Maximus in. He's now back in the series. We get to follow him a little bit. So we're jumping around between these different characters and the different timelines and all the different things that they're doing. You have Hank. He's doing some stuff. Maximus is doing some stuff separate from everybody else. Lucy's with, uh, you know, the ghoul, but is she? um, although next week I hope I'm not following 5 different stories. And then we have her brother, is it Owen? I always forget his name. And his story is still evolving um, down there in 31. Is that where he is? About 31. So who to tackle first? So Maximus, who we didn't see last week, basically has just been enjoying life, I guess, as a knight, although he seems to be like, sort of accepted as a knight, but also not. His boss keeps giving him like the dirty look every 5 seconds, like he's not supposed to be there. But he does go through and they do kill a bunch of ghouls, feral ghouls, I should say, in this one room. And then later on, Maximus and a couple of other doofusy knights that are playing with grenades are going to accompany their leader. I don't know, Galaxin, I don't know, I can't remember his name. It's not important. When he becomes more relevant, the leader of the knights, to this meeting, which is a meeting of all of the heads of the different factions. And they've left out one, and that's mainly that was intentional so that they could have a conversation about whether or not everyone else wants to join forces to battle against the other, a little bit of a civil war. So they have that debate, they have that conversation, and then there's, I don't know, the festivities afterwards where Maximus runs into a tall guy who's like, you killed that thing, right? And he's like, yeah. So he has to, so this guy challenges him to a fight, but not with armor, just like fists. And I mean, he was described in the audio description as being much taller than Maximus. So I'm sure it was ridiculous for these two to be fighting to begin with. It's like the whole reason why Maximus kills people is because of armor. But whatever, dude. So I knew they weren't going to kill off Maximus in the second episode. But yeah, he actually wins the battle and kills the other guy through a convoluted way of being punched and kicked a lot so that he looks like he's losing the fight at the beginning. And then, oh no, he's not. He turns it around. And uses his wits and turns when the other guy reveals that he has a knife, he's constantly like looking over to his like the head knight for approval, but the head knight just is so impassive and just like a douchebag that he just is like, I don't know, he might be dead. I don't he just stares at him like he's sleeping or something. I don't know. So Maximus decides, okay, well, fine, I'll defend myself to the death. And gets the guy in the situation, makes him stab himself, and then I think he kind of gutted himself a little bit because he did get to drag the knife. So I think the wound was more than just a stab wound. And eventually the tall guy drops and dies, and he wins. And then right after that, Kumail Nanjiani shows up. I didn't even check that. I recognize that dude's voice. If it's not Kumail Nanjiani, it's someone doing a Kumail Nanjiani impression. As the one person who they left out, who everybody was planning on battling against. I guess now that he's jacked thanks to Eternals. He's trying to find more action-friendly roles. So, um, yeah, that's Maximus's story, because that's actually kind of where we end, is the Kumail Nanjiani of it all. But we weave in and out of that story. Um, Owen is when's last we left him, Brain on a Roomba was trying to convince him to kill himself or get into the um, little cryo freeze thing. And he was like, well, I can do irrational things instead. I don't know what happened to Brain on Sick, but he ran away from it, and he goes into the cryopod room and wakes everybody up. And he's like, well, if I can't solve the problem, I'll have everybody's help solving the problem. And they're very disoriented. And he tells them it's Reclamation Day, and that he is 200 years of breeding a super manager. So, because they're like, well, what about Bud? Because remember, they're Bud's buds. Well, it's been 200 years. Bud's dead. And he's like, well, since then we've been, breeding, trying to breed the super manager and train the best. He explains it a little bit. They seem to buy it, and he has, I guess they've never seen um, bandages before, because he has like little circular bandages, and he's like, whoever will receive a dot, and people are like, ooh, I want a dot. They don't even know what dots do. They don't know what they're for, where they came from. But he gets everybody to start working on problem solving and getting Vault 31 access to, ventilation, and maybe they can get out of this vault. So he has some people to help him do that. It's kind of funny to see him self-assert that. Uh, I so we see at the beginning, we see a vault that we haven't been to before, and they're sort of like optimistically working on things, and it's a flashback, and Hank kills everyone. And then we see him go in and read like a bedtime story to his daughter and son, like those two kids. And that moment of like, it shows like device detonation, like it worked. And then he's like, oh, well, time to be a dad again, like goes back in. And then we flash to see what he's doing now, which is still exploding heads. He's doing his own version of scanners, but he's got mice with these little tiny boxes. I don't think the show makes any sense anymore, because it's like, how is he building these tiny boxes? Like, the passage of time of what Hank is doing versus where are the boxes coming from? He has to have specifically sized boxes. Did he build them? And every time the creature explodes, does a box explode? I would think so, right? Because so anyway, I don't know how he's building these boxes, but we watch him blow up like 7 mice, and then finally he's like, well, I need, the mouth's too small, I need a human. So he decides to start waking up people out of cryopods in his vault that he's in, the vault that he invaded. And so he picks up this one guy who's like, I think you have me mistaken. I paid for the Gold Plus Premium package. And Hank reads his file to let the audience know, before this guy's head inevitably explodes, I need you to know he's not a good guy, which means I'm not inherently evil. He only paid for himself and left his family to die back in the nuclear fallout. So that's why he chose him. He looked through the files and he picked like the biggest asshole. The guy who made sure to pay for the Gold Plus Premium package. So, but couldn't find the funds for his family. And Hank's like, we sold you that, and we told you there's nothing that's more important in this world than family. So he's got the little black box in his head, and of course, it doesn't work out. The box still doesn't work. Dude's head explodes. So that's Hank's story. And now on to Lucy and the ghoul, who are casually walking when they hear someone screaming for help. And Lucy wants to help them, and the ghoul does not. So Lucy goes in and she finds, I guess they're these religious zealots anyway, because the ghoul does not like what he sees, who they're rescuing. He immediately is like, oh no, not these people. But there's a woman who's in distress from something, and there's a guy that's lying on the floor, like dying or wounded or injured. Um, and this is probably the best sequence in the whole thing, but is this part, which is why I left it for last. Even though we didn't end on this. Well, we kind of did. I think we actually officially end on the reveal of Camille Nanjiani, but I think Lucy's is the second to last story we end on. Um, so they go in to help. The ghoul sees Lucy helps the woman who is somewhat level of functional, although not really speaking or doing anything. Just sort of exasperated. She has one stem pack, and she debates using it on the woman. And the ghoul's like, that would be a, terrible use of resources. Um, but so he kills the other guy. He slits the other guy's throat, and then rips off a piece of his flesh and starts to eat it, and then realizes he can't, and then spits it out, and then shows that this guy is like full of all of these like marks, these pus marks. And they see that there's there are rad scorpions in this. First there are the baby ones that they have to fight off, which are still going to be larger than normal scorpions. But then there's Mama Scorpion, which is gigantic and comes after them. And he gets the ghoul basically does most of the fighting here, and I have some feelings on this and the choices that she makes after this. Um, but yeah, Lucy's trying to keep up, but I mean, her combat skills are not really meant for this. So she ends up fighting a lot of like the smaller bad scorpions, while the ghoul is fighting the big one. And yeah, he takes the girl that was screaming for help, and when the stinger comes for him, he puts her in front of it, so the stinger gets that woman instead. But he does kind of get sort of injured in the process, and but he gets a grenade into the scorpion, kicks it away, and it explodes, and gore flies everywhere. So he kills the giant mama scorpion, which was already starting to eat some of its babies. So at the end of this, there are no scorpions left. And so Lucy, who made it out unscathed because she didn't have to fight a giant fucking scorpion, has a chance to use her stem pack, and she looks at the woman she does not know from a community she does not understand, and the ghoul who is helping her and who took the brunt of all of that, and she goes, huh, I'm going to help her. Because technically you're already dead, so you can't die again. So you're just going to lie there in pain, and I'll come back for you. So she helps the woman, which is nice because it keeps Lucy's like optimism and stuff, which she still needs to be broken from. And then walks her back to this camp of zealots, and she gets left there. Like, Lucy, we don't know what's going to happen to her, but she's talking and trying to be friendly or whatever. Her eternal optimism is going to get her ass kicked. So yeah, I've learned that not everybody loves Fallout, and I think, I don't buy into the whole like strong female lead bullshit where people just reject shows with female leads now. I think But this is sort of the thing where it's like, okay, guys, I know we want to make a tough choice for Lucy, but the choice here is the ghoul is the one that's actually accompanying her to her larger problem. And the fact that Lucy, who has no discernible skill set in fighting things, who's just kind of learning how to do this, versus the ghoul who actually kicks ass. Um, the fact that she didn't get him back up right away, you don't know there aren't more scorpions to fight. You don't know what's next. There's just a whole bunch of like dead bodies out there, and he hinted at this group not being good people, and you didn't really ask for clarification. So I disagree with her choice here, and I think it supports a shitty character. Like, it just makes Lucy more unlikable. Actually, this is the first time where I was really like, nah, I don't like Lucy. This is not a good call. Um, because in some of these series, you wouldn't necessarily save the person when you have limited resources like that, uh, who can't help you in any way. Just, the vault idea of helping people when they need help. At the same time, she's trying to get to her father, and the ghoul, if he had not been there, Lucy would be dead. If Lucy had just gone into that room by herself and had to fight all of the little mini scorpions and then Mama Scorpion, while also trying to keep this random woman alive who isn't helping, she'd be dead. And it's just like a not understanding of that. It's the bamboozlement of uh, the delusions of grandeur, if you will, with her character that lost me when she made that choice. But I guess we have to go find the religious zealots. But there's no reason why they couldn't have just picked up the ghoul and then carried this bitch back to her camp. Like, she doesn't offer anything. I don't know what her name is. I think maybe she says it towards the end. Like right when they're walking back, she might have just said her name, because she said, I think Lucy does introduce herself, and the final lady actually says something. She never gives any useful information. Like, you know how sometimes when you're playing a video game, you meet like an NPC who actually tells you something you need to know? She doesn't give her anything. She doesn't have a gift that you get for doing this. So unless the next episode is all about, oh, thank you for saving so and so, let us shower you with tons of crap that you need, but it seemed very ominous, the situation she was walking into. I suppose they could turn it around, but Fallout is not a very uh, optimistic, you know, show full of, comfort and joy. I just don't think that's going to happen for her. So, Fallout Season 2 is somewhere between like an 8.8 and 8.5 for me, is sort of where it's starting right now, but we'll see. I like the show. I mean, I'm fine, but yeah, that was a call from Lucy that made me go, I don't know, writers. I don't know about that. I don't think you justified it, especially from a gamer standpoint. She didn't give anything. She had nothing to give. And if you're playing as Lucy, you would have picked up the gold, especially if you knew that the lady has nothing to give you except, I don't know, the goodness of your heart. Fallout video games, I mean, it's about getting from point A to point B, and now we're on a side quest. Will the side quest be worth it? I don't know. So we'll find out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.